Greetings and salutations, fellow pilots. This video I am excited to bring you the Bf.109Z Zwilling. It is a German Tier VII heavy fighter, and it is a lot of fun. This aircraft is equipped with 4 30mm cannons, each of which do 180 damage per second. They have a high-low rate of fire of 240 rounds per minute and an effective firing range of 576 meters, which is maybe a little bit on the short side, but still decent. This aircraft can also equip a single bomb that does 4,400 damage within a 75-meter radius. The bomb doesn't really seem to affect the aircraft's performance much in terms of airspeed or maneuverability, and it's marginally useful. You know, it doesn't hurt to have it and drop it when you can, but nothing to write home about. This aircraft has high airspeed and a long-lasting boost, that being 20 seconds. To accentuate that strength, which also goes to the aircraft's not only its tactical advantage, but also its survivability. And to buff that, I have equipped as upgrades Engine Tuning 3, which increases engine power by 5%, as well as Improved Aircraft Polish 3, which increases maximum airspeed by 5%, and also acceleration in a dive by 25%. The aircraft is rightfully so indicated to have low effectiveness in maneuvering combat, and it is, really difficult to turn this beast. Best way to turn it is to flip vertically. Use gravity, if you will, to help the turn. But to somewhat ameliorate its turning ability, I have equipped Improved Flaps 2, which increases by 20% the efficiency of airspeed reduction with idle, but the main reason I equip it is that it increases maneuverability in turns by 3%. In terms of pilot skills, again, working to accentuate this aircraft's strength of high airspeed, I have selected Engine Guru 1 and Engine Guru 2, which cumulatively and collectively increase the aircraft's engine thrust and top speed by 5%. To deal with any issues of fire, and again, I have one extra point right now, so always kind of tough to decide what is the best way to use that extra point. So I did put it in Firefighter to give us an option for putting out any fires that may get started. If I had 2 extra skill points instead of just the 1, I would have gone with Aerodynamics Expert, which would accentuate the effects of our engine tuning as well as our aircraft polish. It also helps with improved flaps. So all 3 of our upgrades would be accentuated by Aerodynamics Expert. So that seems like it would be well worth putting the 2 points into that once I get an extra point. Ammunition wise, I have equipped universal ammunition for both cannons, which has a high chance of critical damage and about half the chance of fire. I do like the fact that the universal ammunition does give you some chance of fire because especially anytime you have an aircraft like this that has maneuverability issues, being able to put a fire on the target so that it burns and takes damage while you're trying to realign or turn or whatever you need to do to get back into position to fire, well, that's nice to have that. The 109Z is said to have large dimensions, which, as I have mentioned with other similar aircraft, folks, that just means it has a big bullseye on it. So, it's a big target up there in the sky. So, good chance that your wings, your tail, and such are going to get hit. And so I did equip Control Surface Auto Trim that automatically restores controllability of wings and tail. It's also indicated to have a vulnerable engine, so I did also equip automatic engine restarter. The engines on this aircraft, as I mentioned earlier, are both its tactical and defensive advantage. So if we're in the middle of a fight, or if we're trying to flee the scene, so to speak, then hey, the last thing we want to have happen is our main advantage, our engines, to be going out. So that's why I equipped that. Both of those consumables are gold consumables, and because of that, they have a 60-second cooldown and are also activated automatically. You don't have to think about it, which is really nice, so that you can maintain your situational awareness, concentrate on flying your aircraft, concentrate on hitting whatever target you're trying to shoot at. Then finally, I've equipped what I think is really a must on almost all the heavy fighters, is engine cooling. And what that does is, that boost, once you've used it up, you hit engine cooling and you're back up 70% of that boost. So that's really super nice to have, especially when you're trying to get out of dodge and get to safety. That is a 240-second cooldown. It is not activated automatically. It's something you do manually. And that's just because you want to use it when the situation calls for it. You don't want it kicking in automatically if you don't need it. In terms of the aircraft specifications, this aircraft is I would say a higher altitude performer. It's at 2,200 meters. That's certainly not the highest altitude for high altitude aircraft. 2,500 and above I would think would be more high altitude, but 2,200 not bad. Stall speed is 170 kilometers per hour, which is not too bad. It is a large aircraft, so I can see it stalling sooner than more agile, lightweight aircraft, but 170 not too bad. And here you see the aircraft's biggest weakness. Average time to turn 360 degrees, 14 seconds. Yow, you could eat a bagel and have some coffee in that time. Yeah, you're not going to win any type of major turning dogfight again. If you want to turn this aircraft, I would say flip it vertically. Get some distance from whatever your target is, and then flip vertically and hit it again. Top speed at best altitude, 710 kilometers per hour. Optimum airspeed, 600 kilometers per hour. Now, let's see, paint schemes. This is summer, winter, desert, and marine. So it's a really cool looking aircraft. I would say the only thing that I kind of don't like is the way this second canopy is done. I'm not sure what would be the best way to get it done. Maybe just make it so it doesn't look like a canopy at all. It's the way it is. It's just me being picky there, but otherwise I think it's a really cool looking aircraft, and it's fun to look at it while you're flying it as well. All right, so what we are going to do now is head over to World of Warplanes website, use their compare aircraft tool to compare the Bf.109Z to other Tier 7 heavy fighters. And we'll see how this aircraft fits into context with other options that you might have at that tier. So let's do that now. All right, so we are on World of Warplanes website using its compare aircraft tool, and I've lined up various different Tier 7 heavy fighters to compare against the Bf.109Z. So let's get into it here. First up, we have the Arsenal VB-10 and the de Havilland 103 Hornet. In terms of armaments, the Bf.109Z is said to be superior to both the Arsenal and the Hornet. So let's look a little bit closer here and see why that is. Now the Arsenal has 4 20mm cannons, and those cannons do 90 damage per second as compared to the 180 damage per second done by the 4 30mm cannons on the Bf.109Z. The cannons on the Arsenal do have a higher rate of fire and also a slightly longer effective firing range. The firing range on the 109Z is 576 versus the 680 meters on the Arsenal. So the Arsenal is going to be able to, in a head-on confrontation, the Arsenal will actually be able to start firing on the 109Z first. The Arsenal also has 6 12.7mm machine guns, which do 60 damage per second, but have a very high rate of fire of 750 rounds per minute. So while the Arsenal is said to be slightly inferior to the 109Z, I would say that it's probably closer than that, given the combination of the cannons with the machine guns. In terms of the Hornet, it also has 4 20mm cannons that do 115 damage per second versus the 180 damage per second of the 30mm cannons on the 109Z. So clearly, in that respect, the 109Z is superior to the Hornet. Moving on to bombs and rockets, the Arsenal does not have any bombs or rockets, so it's kind of out of the running in that regard. The Hornet is indicated to be superior to the 109Z, and I could say, having flown both of those aircraft, that's definitely true. But let's look a little bit further into why that is. The Hornet has 2 1,000-pound bombs that do 6,000 damage each within a 90-meter damage radius. Compare that to the 4,400 damage in a 75-meter radius done by the single bomb on the 109Z. Again, the Hornet has 2 of those bombs, so clearly, just in that respect alone, the Hornet's bombs are superior, but also the Hornet has rockets that do 1,000 damage each in a 35-meter radius, and it has 8 of those. So definitely the 109Z is outclassed by the Hornet in terms of its ordnance. In terms of survivability, the hit points on the Arsenal are slightly higher than those on the 109Z by 40, and the Hornet likewise is significantly higher hit points than the 109Z. Average time to turn 360 degrees, it is the same for the 109Z and the Hornet. The Arsenal is about a second faster on the turn than the 109Z. Of course, that 1 second can make the difference between winning or losing a turning dogfight. Basically, you don't want to be in any type of turning dogfight in a 109Z. Stall speed, the Arsenal will stall prior to the 109Z. The 109Z will stall prior to the Hornet, which honestly is a little surprising. The Hornet is a really large plane, so you would think it would stall first, but not so according to the stats. The 109Z clearly has the altitude advantage over the Arsenal and the Hornet by 400 meters. The 109Z, like most German aircraft, also has a higher rate of climb than the Arsenal or the Hornet. So if you're going up against an Arsenal or Hornet and they're on your tail and you're a 109Z, climb. Next up, we have the Tachikawa Kai-94I and the Fisher XP-75 Eagle. In terms of gun armaments, the Kai-94I is indicated as being superior to the 109Z, whereas the Eagle is indicated as being inferior. So we'll look into that a little bit closer here. Kai-94 has 2 30mm cannons and 2 37mm cannons. The 30mm cannons do 160 damage per second, which is 20 damage per second inferior to the 109Z. In contrast, though, the 2 37mm cannons do 240 damage per second, which is significantly better than the 180 damage per second of the 109Z. And it also has a slightly longer effective firing range. Same thing with the 30mm cannons. So that is why the Kai-94I is indicated as being superior to the 109Z. The Eagle has only machine guns, and so that is why it is indicated as being inferior to the 109Z. But those machine guns, 750 rounds per minute. So that's huge. Looking at bombs and rockets, the Kai-94I is indicated as being superior, as is the Eagle. So looking into that a little bit closer, the Kai has 2 bombs that do 4,400 damage each in a 75-meter radius. So basically it has the same bombs as the 109Z, but it has 2 of them, and that's why it's indicated as being superior. Likewise, the Eagle has 2 bombs that do 4,300 damage in a 75-meter radius. So slightly less damage per bomb, but it has 2 of them. Survivability, both the Kai-94I and the Eagle are indicated as being ever so slightly superior to the 109Z. I don't think it's so significant that it's going to make a huge difference, but they both have, as you can see, higher hit points than the 109Z. The 109Z is indicated as having a better top speed at best altitude than the Kai or the Eagle. Average time to turn 360 degrees, the Kai 94 is a second slower than the 109Z, whereas the Eagle is a second and a half faster than the 109Z. Stall speed, it is the same for the 109Z and the Eagle. The Kai 94 is slightly inferior to the 109Z and will stall sooner than the 109Z. Again, the 109Z has the altitude advantage over those other two aircraft. However, the Kai 94 and the Eagle have a slight advantage in terms of rate of climb. And lastly, we have up the Grumman F7F Tiger Cat, which is indicated as having inferior armaments. We will look at that here. So the Tiger Cat has 4 machine guns and 2 20mm cannons. The 20mm cannons do 115 damage per second versus the 180 damage per second of the 109Z. In terms of bombs and rockets, not too surprising, but the Tiger Cat is indicated as being significantly superior to the 109Z, and that is because it has one 1,000-pound bomb that does 6,000 damage in a 90-meter radius versus just a 4,400 damage in a 75-meter radius of the 109Z. It also has 8 Havar rockets that do 1,500 damage each within a 30-meter radius. So clearly the Tiger Cat outclasses by a significant margin the 109Z in terms of ordnance. Survivability, the Tiger Cat significantly more hit points than the 109Z and therefore indicated to be more survivable. Top speed at best altitude, the 109Z has the advantage there by 25 kilometers per hour over the Tiger Cat. Also has a better dive speed. These aircraft are the same in terms of average time to turn 360 degrees. Stall speed, the Tiger Cat will stall prior to the 109Z. The 109Z has a 400-meter advantage over the Tiger Cat in terms of altitude and also has a significantly higher rate of climb. So again, you know, if you've got a Tiger Cat on your tail and you're in a 109Z, one of your best defensive measures may be to climb, and you should be able to outclimb the Tiger Cat both in terms of rate of climb and in terms of ultimate altitude. Okay, so I hope that helps you put the Bf.109Z in context with other Tier 7 heavy fighters. So, having reviewed my build for this aircraft, having gone over its stats, and compared it to other Tier 7 heavy fighters, let's head into a sortie and see how it does. Alright pilots, we are going to fight it out over the Road to Rome trap map. We'll be headed to the command center first, secure it so we can get bombers inbound to the enemy targets. And then we'll either head over to the mining plant or to the garrison depending upon what the enemy is doing. Oftentimes ground attack aircraft from the enemy will be moving through this valley to head to the mining plant. If they do that, we want to try to stop them. And this is an ideal aircraft to do that.
Pilots, get ready for action. Let's go.
Alright, so we've got one bomb here. We'll just drop it on this anti-aircraft emplacement. Start working on these air defense aircraft. See when these cannons start hitting that they do huge damage. Huge damage. Just the sound of those things. It's fantastic. So we can take out this fellow working on our friendly. Missed. Do it. So, don't see any ground attack aircraft headed over to the plant yet, but I am guessing that they're going to. So we're going to head over here and see what's going on. Drop our bomb here. Nothing yet. They seem to be focused on the airfield. Let's see what we could do with some of these air defense aircraft. Alright. Surprisingly, no enemy ground attack aircraft over to the plant yet. Pretty unusual. Looks like their team is really focused on our bombers, and that's the benefit. Look at this, folks. Their whole team practically focused on those enemy bombers. That is the benefit of bombers. Even more so than the damage they do. What we're going to do here is get a little distance. See some fighters coming in, including a heavy fighter. And I would rather them be busy. And then we'll swing back around. Almost got it. That was a close one. And look at that team. Just wasting all their resources on that. Let's see, do we have any human pilots over here? We'll see if maybe we can take one of them out.
Be advised, a line of thunderstorms is approaching. We'll soon be unable to provide support. Do you copy? Over.
So while we've taken almost all the objectives, the enemy team has spent all their time working on our bombers. There they go again. And now our whole team is
We cannot support you
moving
any
to
longer. The storm is too
take their
heavy.
last
Do
objective.
you copy? Over.
We have a ground attack aircraft probably over there trying to get the plant, and they have an enemy ground attack coming in, so we'll help our friendly, drop our bomb here, and then see if we can help him defend against the ground attack aircraft. Go up high here and move around behind it.
Air supremacy achieved. Way to go. Victory is close.
Alright, let's start working on enemy aircraft.
Great job today.
Oh, no need.
We'll be waiting for you back home.
Okay, so flying start, hat trick, one of every aircraft, effective fire, #1 rank on the team, and we'll head back to the hangar and take a look at the after action report. Okay, so over 2,000 damaged aerial targets, 5 aerial targets destroyed, captured 3 sectors, did over 9,000 in damage to ground targets, over 6,000 in combat points. Let's head into another one and see if she can do it again. Alright, for our second sortie, we will be fighting over the Alpine Gamut Day of Reckoning map. We'll be heading over to the Ford airstrip first.
Attention. You are entering the combat zone. Get ready for battle. Good luck.
Now, oftentimes, enemy ground attack aircraft will try to hit this mining plant over here, and after we've taken the Ford airstrip, we can usually catch them either still in the act or moving along this valley here.
You are approaching the front line. Off we go.
So we'll use our speed boost. And I'm going to use it down to 10 seconds and then let it build back up. I want to keep that boost available as much as possible in case we need to get out of dodge. And I'm just going to drop this bomb here. Mainly focus on air defense aircraft. Okay. So we probably have some ground attack aircraft over here, as I mentioned. So we'll move in here and see what we can do to deal with them. 3 of them, wow. Okay. Wow, I'd really hope we had shot him down before we collided, but didn't quite happen. That would be a lack of talent on my part. Alright. So there they are, as I mentioned to you, moving in through this valley here, as they often do. Let's see, just one. Got a yak here. Yeah, we definitely don't want to let that roam around. So as you can see, those cannons are excellent at taking out the high survivability aircraft. Okay, we've got another heavy fighter over here and a ground attack aircraft at the plant, so need to help our teammates out with the Here's our engine cooling. We have to be careful here because we don't want to get caught with a bomb. Alright, so I think start working on these air defense aircraft. Hello. See if we can draw him in here and get him to got him. Alright. Somebody got him anyway. Unfortunately, this is not a heal airfield, because we could use some healing. If we get anywhere near the squall line, we're going to ditch this aircraft and get our health back. So we'll work on this ground attack aircraft here.
Hang in there. You'll soon be cut off from support. I say again, support will not be available.
Lovely aircraft, the F-7F. And we have to be careful here. Let him drop all his bombs.
We cannot support you any longer. The storm is too heavy. Do you copy?
Yeah, I just want to make sure we don't get caught by one of those bombs. So we're going to try to use our altitude here if we can. We are past the squall line. And we're almost dead, so I don't think that's going to go well for us. We're just going to climb, climb, climb. But I don't think it's going to go well. Ah, yep.
Attention, all aircraft. Fall back and regroup.
Okay, well, unfortunately a defeat. But I think the aircraft performed well. Did get the #1 spot on the team. Over 10,000 in combat points there. Head back to the hangar now and take a look at the after action report. Okay, so 8 aerial targets destroyed, over 4,600 damage to aerial targets. Did a inconsequential 1,200 in damage to ground targets. 3 sectors captured. Did get the Avenger accolade, so I believe that was for the ground attack aircraft that we collided with. We later shot it down. So yeah, a good result there for the Bf.109Z. You can showcase this aircraft quite well. So we'll be fighting over the Asian border, point of no return map. We will be heading over to the military base first, and then from there, probably the garrison at center.
Attention, you are entering the zone controlled by the enemy.
Looks like we've got several human players,
You are approaching the front line. Off we go.
so that's great. drop our bomb, but we're mainly going to be focused on taking out air defense aircraft. Okay, so the team took that pretty quickly. Things are going well. Okay, we've got a human pilot, heavy fighter here, so we'll want to take it out too, also in a 109Z. Ah, those cannons. We've got a ground attack aircraft, so we'll work on it.
The enemy is launching rocket cannons from the military base. Take action.
Alright, so what we're going to do here is get a little distance. Gain some altitude. And then we'll re-engage.
Our rocket has reached the target. Enemy objects damaged.
Okay. Take out this enemy fighter. Got a ground attack aircraft coming in, so we'll work on that. Swing around here. Back at it. We have a fighter messing with us right now, so quick with it. And this fighter's on our tail. Unfortunately, it's probably going to get us. Good job there, Marty. And there's just a slew of enemy aircraft over there. I don't know that that we want to go over there alone, and that's what it looks like we'd be doing right now. So I think we want to wait until we get some reinforcements. Okay, we've got a Spitfire coming in. We're going to keep going, folks, because we're not going to... If we stay, we're going to end up in a turning fight with that Spitfire. That is not something we want. So we're just going to keep getting some distance here, and then we'll swing around and hit it again.
Hang in there. You'll soon be cut off from support. I say again, support will not be available.
Again, we're just going to try to get some distance here if we can. Squall line, you know what? Maybe he'll kill us before the squall line. There we go. Whew. Well, I knew I was going to die, so let's slow down and let him finish the job before the squall line hits.
The storm is too heavy.
That was my thought process there. Got some enemy aircraft over here at our military base, so we'll go over there and see what we can do. Though
Keep it up.
it may be too
Victory
late by
is
the time we
almost
get there.
ours.
They really need to do something about that battle button there. Shouldn't have to hit it several times to get back into the fight. Okay, so we'll move in behind this ME-265 and hopefully finish it off. There's one. What do we have coming in here? Yak. So we'll get some distance here. So don't want to end up in a turning fight with that Yak. Yak 15. So we'll get our distance and then we'll flip around and head back to it. Ugh, it takes forever to turn around. Okay, so now we're behind the Yak, which is perfect. He may be dead before we even get there. Let's see.
You
Ah.
are the final hope. Hang in there.
No. I really thought I wanted to get him. But we've got some distance now. Let's head back down and see if we can finish him off this time. Any aircraft will force. There we go. That's better. And I'm it, folks. Let's see. So I think what I'm going to do here, I don't know if we can pull it out. Yes.
We're waiting for your return.
We are the final hope. Excellent. Alright, folks. Well, pulled that out just barely. Alright, now that we're back at the hangar, we'll take a look at the after action report. Destroyed 9 aerial targets, did over 3,000 in damage to aerial targets, 4,200 in damage to ground targets. Not very meaningful, but make note of it. Did get the Avenger accolade for that last kill of the Yak. Over 9,000 in combat points. And we were the last on our team, so fortunately we were able to pull it out there. Alright folks, well that is the Bf.109Z. I really like this aircraft. It's about those cannons, isn't it? Love those cannons. And I think you will too. So anyway, I hope you really enjoyed this video.